AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Terrio's here in 1 hour. Marshon Lattimore going to be let go by the Washington Commanders. Got some thoughts on that. Possible reunion in New Orleans. I'd be for it. We'll get to all that. Tigers playing baseball right now. Well, let's begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
If you are keeping an eye on LSU and Indiana there in Jacksonville, it's a 4-3 Tigers. A little bit of a dogfight here. Tigers got up early, really made a mess of things in the third inning, found themselves down 3-2. Battled back thanks to an Indiana pitcher not being able to throw the ball over the plate to take the lead back 4-3. And Stephen Milam, a clutch RBI single. And then Jake Brown just got caught stealing. Mason Braun naturally would follow with a single. So Tigers, it's top six right now. LSU is the road team. So it's top six. LSU leading Indiana 4-3. It'll be a battle of the bullpens, as we kind of anticipated this one would get to. It's what Jay Johnson sort of told us yesterday when he was here on the show. So we'll keep an eye on it, how it goes. But this is one game that so far feels like it's been defined by missed opportunities for LSU. In the first inning, Zach York was thrown out at third base. Tigers also had a golden opportunity in the top of the fourth. Cade Arambidi led off with a double. They went double walk, so he had first and second with nobody out, and Arambidi on a dirt ball was caught stealing at third. The runner at first, I believe, was Dardar, didn't advance. And so anyway, they ended up going fly out, single, then fly out. So they didn't get anything home despite a leadoff double. But Tigers have missed some opportunities in this game. They still lead 4-3 as they now head to the bottom of the sixth. We'll keep you posted as we move throughout. Terry will be here in an hour, and we'll recap all of this and preview the rest of the weekend ahead. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. I don't know, it would be seldom that we have led here with women's basketball, but LSU did have a nice win yesterday. Kim Mulkey's squad found themselves down 13 late in that ball game, and then just a really masterful fourth quarter. But the I don't know, the game itself is only part of the story, and I don't even know that it's the most relevant part. I mean, LSU's a really good team. It's a good thing that they didn't let the South Carolina loss last Wednesday beat them twice or get them beaten twice. It nearly did, but a great rally in the fourth quarter. The really odd part of all of this is it just continues to accentuate the crossover level of vitriol that Ole Miss has for everything LSU right now as a result of Lane Kiffin. Even so much so that it's bled into the coaching staff. The Ole Miss coach was taking shots at Lane Kiffin on Twitter today. You have people insinuating that maybe Lane Kiffin, actually Coach Yo, insinuated Lane Kiffin doesn't even care about women's sports or like women's sports. Never mind the fact that Kiffin's middle child, Presley Kiffin, is a volleyball player at Southern Cal. It's I think what this illustrates, all of this in totality, It's less about the women's basketball game yesterday and more about the mindset at Ole Miss, because it's a very clear indication of what a runt looks like. And that's what Ole Miss is and has been throughout their entire existence. When you haven't been nationally relevant in 6 decades, this is how you react to things like this. And I know that the counter argument people always say is, look at how LSU fans handled Nick Saban. And I don't really have... what I would argue is the Saban leaving LSU wasn't the thing that caused the animosity. It was when Saban came back and started beating LSU, and then it was a giant hurdle you had to clear in your division. This is rooted in nothing more than hurt feelings of thinking you're more than you are, which Ole Miss clearly is not, by evidence of the fact that, what I would say, actions speak louder than words. A coach left in the middle of an 11-1 playoff season. I mean, it's a very, very evident, very clear indication that where he was going is better than where he was, and it's a guy that would certainly know that because he was living in it. And if you only live in that and it's all you know, then you don't know how the other half lives. I'll give you a real-world example for you and me. If we've never flown on a private plane, we don't own a jet, we always fly commercial, we do the cattle call at Southwest, you don't know what it's like to be able to just wake up in the morning and drive to a private airport and get on a plane in 20 minutes and be where you want to go. That's a pretty good way to live. Lane Kiffin understood that LSU was the private jet and Ole Miss was the cattle call for Southwest. Still get you where you want to go. It's not going to be nearly as fun, glamorous, or efficient. So, and they just continue to illustrate that over and over again. It was really actually very embarrassing display last night from the Ole Miss fans. Their coach, Coach Yo, I don't even know who she is, but that's, again, indicative that just permeates that entire athletic department and culture in Oxford. And it will be a lot of fun for me, I'm sure for a lot of people here, watching them completely devolve into irrelevance with their version of the popular assistant who was promoted to try to keep continuity because, you know, that works all the time, right, Barry Odom? Right, Larry Coker? Yeah, okay. All right, it is After Further Review. Thanks for being with us here. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers. Hey, if you're going to be out and about this weekend, going to be watching some LSU baseball, make sure you grab plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light. They got the officially licensed national championship bottles. You can find them at great local retailers. It's the 16-ounce aluminum bottle, the white tiger stripe, one side with the Bud Light logo, the other side with the national championship logo for the baseball Tigers, celebrating the 8th in program history. Whether you're at a bar or a restaurant, if you're at your house or at the ballpark, make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Well, not going to break, come back. I do want to talk about the Marshon Lattimore story, the former New Orleans Saint cornerback who was traded a year ago at the trade deadline to the Washington Commanders. He's going to be released by Washington. So with that chapter just about closed in Saints history, I want to sort of assess that whole thing and talk about a possible reunion with the Saints and Lattimore. We'll do that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Of course, right there on Bluebonnet. 2 amazing hotel properties. Again, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance on Bluebonnet near I-10. It's where the Tigers stay every Friday before home football games. Not too early if you want to start thinking about your football Saturdays, your football weekends in the fall. You want to stay where the Tigers stay. Maybe you're coming in town, you have family that's coming in town, colleagues, clients coming in town for home games. Make sure you book a room at Renaissance Baton Rouge. Easy access to I-10, everything you could possibly want, all the amenities, the pool, the weight room, all of it. And, of course, Tallulah right there inside of the lobby area of Renaissance Baton Rouge and all the meeting space you could possibly imagine. So if you're having a wedding reception, a fundraiser, an awards banquet, any type of event in 2026, make sure you remember our friends over at Renaissance Baton Rouge, where the Tigers stay before every home game. Watermark Downtown and Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Terry will be here in about 45 minutes. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Word came today that the Commanders are going to release Marshon Lattimore when the NFL league year begins. Probably not a giant surprise. That move is going to save them about $18 million against the salary cap. And Lattimore just wasn't very good this year. He only played in 9 games. And when he was on the field, it just wasn't very good. It's really actually an oddity because when New Orleans traded Marshon Lattimore to Washington, he was playing at an exceptional level, which we'll talk about in just a second. I'll put some color behind that. But then as soon as he went to Washington, he fell off a cliff, and it has been bad. So they move on from Lattimore. They free up about $18 million in cap space. So this was one that was expected. But now that Washington is moving on from Lattimore, they can't officially do it till the start of the league year, but they're made it known this is what they're going to do. We can kind of look back at the decision the Saints made to trade Lattimore, and at the time I loved it. It's the Saints were going nowhere. It's something we all called for. They needed to acknowledge a rebuild, and as part of a rebuild, you needed to shed whatever assets you had to get younger. We said it all the time. You needed to get younger and less expensive. Well, how do you do that? Through the draft. Well, you move on from Lattimore, you recoup, you trade Lattimore and a 5 for a 3, a 4, and a 6. So you gave up a player and a pick for 3 picks. That lets you get younger and more affordable. It was absolutely the right move to make at the time to trade Marshon Lattimore. And I actually also understand what Washington was doing. Now, this is also another bad Mickey Loomis contract. Now, the original contract they signed him was not bad. 5 years, $97 million. Marshon Lattimore at the time was a Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro caliber cornerback, a true number 1 lockdown corner. Yes, that was a contract that he was certainly warranted and had earned, and you could project and say, yes, you're going to pay this guy a true lockdown number 1 corner at that level. The problem the Saints got into financially, surprise, is that Mickey Loomis did what Mickey Loomis always does, because horribly irresponsible against the cap, and they restructured that deal. And so they restructured Lattimore's contract in 2024, which resulted in $31 million in dead cap, 31.6 to be exact, $31.6 million in dead cap money this year in 2025. Now, Lattimore's off the books in New Orleans in 2026. But again, Marshon Lattimore was not on the Saints roster in 2025, and he cost $31.6 million against the cap. That was the highest number of dead money against the cap for New Orleans in 2025. So, again, another poor decision by Mickey Loomis, or using the Lattimore deal to make up for other bad decisions and bad contracts, try to get you out of that cap situation that was an albatross around your neck this year. But still, trading him was the right thing. You were able to recoup assets to help get younger. So when you look at the trade in totality, the Saints, the 3 picks they got in the Lattimore trade resulted in Jonas Sanker, Quincy Riley, and Devin Neal. Now, Jonas Sanker, who, of course, is a safety, played in all 17 games with 16 starts. Or injury necessitated that after the first week, but Sanker ended up being a very good starting player for you, and so you may have now used a 3rd-round pick for a starting player in the secondary. Quincy Riley, who was your 4th-round pick out of Louisville, also played in 17 games, started 5 of those 17. So he very well, too, could be a starter. Now, you'll know how I feel about this. I don't think Kool-Aid McKinstry is a number 1. I think he's a number 2. And so if you're able to go sign or draft a true number 1 corner, I think then that puts Quincy Riley probably as your number 3 or your nickel. We'll see how that all may go. Obviously, also depends what happens this year with Alontae Taylor. Is he back in New Orleans? Does he re-sign? Does the Saints franchise tag him? I don't think that's going to happen. We talked about that earlier this week because it would pay him at the highest average annual value of a cornerback in the NFL, which he's obviously not worth. So he's going to hit free agency, and we'll see what the market bears. And if the Saints have a price for Alontae Taylor that makes sense, he'll be back. If not, you're moving on, and then it really increases the need to add an additional cornerback. But Riley is an option. I don't love the idea of McKinstry, Riley 1-2. I could really like the idea of getting a true number one. McKinstry is your 2, Riley is your nickel. Like I think that could actually be really, really productive if it were to work that way. So, and then Devin Neal was the third piece of that. And the unfortunate part about Devin Neal is there was so much excitement for Neal. And then, like, right from jump in the first preseason game, Devin Neal has the injury and misses the bulk of camp in preseason and then missed the bulk of this season as well. So I think it's unfair to judge what Neal could be. But, we know he set a whole bunch of career records at Kansas. And as a 6th-round pick, we kind of all looked at that to say, man, that may be a great value add late in the draft with Devin Neal if he becomes a contributor. Now, when you look at 2026 at the running back spot, which is something we've talked plenty about, where Alvin Kamara will be coming off of injury, Kendra Miller will be coming off of injury, Devin Neal will be coming off of injury. You added Audric Estime late in the season who played pretty well. Do you go in free agency and sign a player? Is Breece Hall a realistic possibility? Is Etienne a realistic possibility? We'll see. Kenneth Gainwell is one we've talked about as well. There's options, but it's impossible to know based on what the Saints front office may be thinking. Or maybe they're not going to sign a running back in free agency and try to go target one in the draft like we've talked about. Maybe it's Jeremiah Love, which many of you favor. I don't. But all that to say, I think with the 2 defensive backs, with Sanker and Riley, you've gotten 2, if not starting, contributing caliber players. And then with Neal still up in the air, but a guy that, if healthy, makes the roster, probably active on game days, and you found 3 guys that are going to help you on Sundays in exchange for an aging player who was no longer playing up to the level of his contract. So that's the other part of the Lattimore trade, is kind of like what happened in Washington. See, I respect what Washington did because, okay, that's Jaden's rookie year. They're on fire to start the season. They're looking to make a run, right? They're going all in. And so they look at their defense and go, we need a cornerback. Lattimore was available, and so they went and traded 3 picks for a player and a pick. And the player they traded for, just if you look at 2024, Lattimore, you just split the season. And his PFF grades, this is the same season, by the way. In 2024, in New Orleans, Lattimore's defensive grade was a 69.5. He goes to Washington, his grade was a 41.1. Same season. Literally the same season. His coverage grade. And you can say, well, that's the defense he plays in. That's obviously he was better suited in Dennis Allen's defense or whatever. His coverage grade, that's just turn, run, cover. His coverage grade in 24 with the Saints was a 71.6. He goes to Washington the second half of the season. His coverage grade was a 40.7. Same player, same season, fell off a cliff. And then this year, played just 9 games. His overall defensive grade was a 52.1, coverage grade of 51.1. It is astonishing what happened with Marshon Lattimore. And I think it's fair to ask the question, like, did the player decline so dramatically? Or was it just a terrible fit in that Dan Quinn defense that led to Marshon Lattimore going from being a very good, very productive player in New Orleans to in the same season being awful, a liability on a team that made a playoff run to the NFC Championship game? And I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is it's worth kicking the tires on Marshon Lattimore because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent after Washington releases him. And I just talked about how the Saints are going to have a need for a number 1 corner. And maybe at this point in his career, Marshon Lattimore, well, certainly at this point in his career, given the evidence we have, isn't going to be paid like a number 1 corner, nor should he be. maybe he would prefer, as an unrestricted free agent, to go to a team as a veteran player, a team that is a contender. And maybe that's not as a number one. Maybe it's a complimentary piece, a number two, a nickel, a dime. I don't know how that's what the market's gonna bear for Marshon Lattimore. But what you have is a guy that knows your locker room, knows your culture, knows your city, knows your division, and would presumably be very affordable considering how he's played for the second half of 24 and all of 25. I'm not saying he would be the premier option, but if you don't have the option to go sign a premier number one free agent corner, because most of those guys never hit free agency, and if you can't find a trade partner, and if you don't get one in the draft, do you really want to go into the season with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley, ... whatever else you might be able to find off the scrap heap, and hope something hits? It's worth considering. Now, again, the price would have to be right. The great thing is you would not have to give up an asset to get him because he's an unrestricted free agent. And you'd also be talking about what his role would be. But I like the idea of signing a guy that at one point in his career was a very high-level player who may not be at that level any longer, but might be a better option than anything you presently have and could come at a discount. And by the way, if he can't play, cut him. I mean, Marshon Lattimore is kind of at that point in his career where whatever deal he signs, it's probably going to be an incentive-laden deal. He's probably not going to get a high dollar guaranteed money. I mean, in the $97 million deal he signed with New Orleans, $40 million of that was guaranteed. He's made his money. He got his big contract. He got his $100 million contract. He ain't getting that again. So I think that's two options. Pick a place maybe where you can go win, or pick a place where you think you can go play and play above a contract on an incentive-laden deal and make some more money. And if you can find a perfect blend like New Orleans in a winnable division with a strength of schedule, by the way, if you look at opponents' win percentage from a year ago, the New Orleans Saints have the second easiest strength of schedule for 2026. One of the reasons I like them over their projected win total of 7.5, at least the early projected win total. Like, you play in a bad division and you play a last place schedule in a bad division where you have an ascending quarterback and you presume you'll be better than you were this year. So maybe that is a bet on the come with New Orleans for free agents. You could see the arrow pointing up, and they got money to spend as well and playing time available for a guy like Lattimore. Not saying he would be at the top of my list. I'm not saying like this is the guy you have to go get. I'm just saying that a reunion could make sense with Lattimore at the right price. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. I love telling you about Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Hey, I told you man, what a day we had over the Scone house. So we're painting our house this week and on the interior, and it was time. And the painters a couple days ago found a wet spot on the sheetrock, and so they cut a hole, found that there was water in the walls, so called Parish out. Zach came out yesterday, did an inspection, found we had an active leak. So the Parish crew was at our house today to fix the roof leak. But so we had roofers out at the house, we had the painters finishing their job, and we have Rev doing our install today. Because I told you they laid fiber in the neighborhood. So it was a busy day at Casa de Scone. But all that to say, we had water intrusion in the walls. You better believe I'm gonna get Parish Restoration out there. Come spray. Make sure that we don't have like all that wetness in there. We get that remediated. Need that dried out. We don't want mold in our walls. I mean, if you have or have had an active leak, had water in your house, you probably have in your walls. Make sure you take care of that. Parish Restoration. parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. Go to the website. Always give you a free estimate. parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. They're bottom 7 in Jacksonville. LSU leads 4-3. Ground to third, and Tigers throw it away. So be a runner on second base for Indiana here to start the bottom of the 7th. This is a tie and run now in scoring position with nobody out. So we'll keep you posted on that. Terry will be here in in hour number 2 also. All right, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. Stick around here. It's AFR.
After further review.
Weekend's upon us, y'all. Weather is beautiful. Sun shiny. Hot. 85 degrees. Y'all get it in the yard. Just plant something, man. Get your hands in the dirt. Flowers and plants and trees and shrubs. They got all beautiful selection. Hanging fern baskets. Those are easy. You don't have to plant anything. You just get your hooks and you hang them on your outdoor spaces. Beautiful way to accentuate your outdoor space. Clegg's Nursery has it all. They got Johnny Naylor seeds if you want to plant that vegetable garden. Just plant something, y'all. The Boston Fern hanging baskets, Johnny Naylor seeds. You want to plant a garden? They got tomato plants, vegetables, all the garden seeds. They got them at Clegg's Nursery. So, Seaganeer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. We tell you about them every single day. Rose bushes, timeless, beautiful favorite, and a great time to plant some rose bushes as well. So, get them by any of the 4 locations this weekend. Buy local, shop local, tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
And then the Bears. Are the Bears going to be the Indiana Bears? Is that really happening? Did they buy a racetrack in Arlington Heights, raise it to the ground, and then basically say, yeah, we're going to go to Indiana? And is the state of Illinois just like saying we're gonna let you go?
Yeah, the Indiana governor, Mike Braun, has been really lobbying for this on all social media platforms.
So could the state of Illinois have 0 football teams and the state of Indiana have 2 NFL teams?
That's Rich Eisen. If you missed it on Thursday, this isn't a farce. The Chicago Bears are pushing for a new stadium. Their lease at Soldier Field runs through 2033. Excuse me. And the state of Indiana looks like they are willing partners. Indiana lawmakers in the State House Ways and Means Committee have unanimously approved an amendment to Indiana State Bill 27. Unanimous, 24-0. That would effectively clear the path for the Bears to build a stadium in Northwest Indiana, in Hammond, Indiana. It'll be a domed stadium, and the governor of the state of Indiana continues to say they're open for business. The Bears released a statement saying the passage of SB 27 would mark the most meaningful step forward in our stadium planning efforts to date. We are committed to finishing the remaining site-specific necessary due diligence to support our vision to build a world-class stadium near the Wolf Lake area in Hammond, Indiana. That's the Bears saying it. It's not like the state of Indiana is just doing this. They're doing it in conjunction with the Bears. I want to point out something because maybe we can remove emotion because we're not talking about anything that's relevant to us here in Louisiana. So maybe because you can remove emotion, you can look at this logically. This isn't new. I mean, the New York Giants and New York Jets have a stadium in New Jersey. The Kansas City Chiefs are leaving Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, to move to a new stadium in Kansas City, Kansas. And the Chicago Bears certainly will continue to be marketed as the Chicago Bears, but they will play their games very likely in Hammond, Indiana, in the same way that the San Francisco 49ers play in Santa Clara. Again, this isn't uncommon, right? But why is this happening? Because you have state lawmakers that are welcoming a business climate. And I'm only saying this because the opportunity is relevant now to point this out, because this is something I say every time we have conversations about the Saints or the Pelicans and tax subsidies or whatever it may be. You know, a couple of weeks ago, actually last week, remember we had Sarah Bairstow with us, who is the president of Louisiana LNG for Woodside Energy. They were announcing the Jersey Patch deal, but Sarah was here and was talking about their $17.5 billion investment into the state of Louisiana in their LNG facility. How many of you would be opposed to any type of incentive-based program that Woodside Energy got to bring a $17.5 billion investment to Louisiana. Same with Meta. Same with the Hyundai plant. That's all about having good business climate. The difference is so many people view sports teams not as businesses, they view it as entertainment, which is why I've given the example over the years about all the tax breaks that Louisiana gave the movie industry. They wanted to be Hollywood South. Why did movie producers start shooting in Louisiana? It was more cost effective. California created a cost prohibitive environment. They were able to shoot their films in a more fiscally responsible way, so more money fell to the bottom. Hell, I'll give you this example. I'll tell you this straight up. We just did Radio Row in San Francisco, and we were in San Francisco. California state law mandates that if you're building any type of like structure or campus, like you have to have members of the union, the labor union there at an absurd price of $2,000 per day. So now we didn't, but all of the other media companies that built a set, ESPN, Barstool, Fox, all of them, FanDuel, all of them, like they all had to pay labor union reps $2,000 a day just to sit there and do nothing. It's a bad business climate. So again, all this to say, it's going to happen again. We're going to circle back to this whole conversation about the Saints and the Pelicans and stadium renovations or whatever it may be, the lease to keep them here. And if you can remove emotion from whether you give a damn about those teams or not, and think of it as having, billion-dollar businesses that bring untold economic impact, even if by virtue of of interest and awareness of your city, your state, your region, there is an immense value to that. It's why Indiana is trying to lure the Chicago Bears to Hammond, Indiana, and they're willing to create a business climate and make it financially feasible for them to do so. It's why the Chiefs are moving to Kansas. It's why this happens. And you could say, oh, I don't give a damn, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out because you don't like the team. But think of that in a different way. Don't think of it as a team. What if a billion-dollar business closed in your state to move to another state? That's effectively what you're talking about here. So it's going to happen again. And I know what people say. States shouldn't be subsidizing billionaires. Okay. So Meta came here. So we gave tax breaks to Zucks. You good with it? You good with Zucks needs the tax break? Separate your fandom. Separate the emotion and think of it through a business lens. Indiana's doing a super smart thing. And it might be a lesson for everywhere else to say, careful. You thought the Chicago Bears, like that Wishbone Sea, that would just be on the bank of Lake Michigan in Soldier Field forever, right? They finna be playing in Hammond, Indiana, y'all. I'm sure it's exactly what George Halas thought when he launched the team, founded the team 100 years ago. Just telling you, man. Careful. All right, we're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Windows door siding, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than anyone. The Raiders left California, they're in Vegas. Chargers left San Diego, they're in LA. How many more examples do we need? The Pelicans, they weren't founded here. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Windows door siding, they do shutters too, and shades at Relief Windows. Hey, check them out. They'll always give you that free estimate. Come by. They measure twice, install once. Man, they do beautiful work. I'll tell you, you can go get estimates. You can call a whole bunch of companies and get them to come out and give you an estimate. I'm telling you right now, Relief Windows is not going to be the cheapest. They can never be the cheapest. Just the quality of work, the quality of product, the full service department that they have, they're never going to be the cheapest. but they will be the best. The best product, the best service after the sale, the true lifetime transferable warranty. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, I'll do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Joey Aguilar has had his preliminary injunction denied for eligibility in the 2026 season. He's got 30 days to appeal the decision, so the process can drag out. But Tennessee is now looking to turn to its competition between George McIntyre, Faison Brandon, and Colorado transfer Ryan Staub. It's relevant for LSU, of course, because the Tigers play in Knoxville in November. And Joey Aguilar may not be back to Tennessee.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks expected to hire Matthew Smiley as their special teams coordinator. Pete Thamel had the news. He'll replace Joe DeCamillis, who was hired by the Raiders as their special teams coordinator after 2 seasons in South Carolina. Smiley was most recently the Buffalo Bills special teams coordinator from 2022 to 2024.
The Arkansas Razorbacks. The Texas Longhorns.
Jim Schlossnagle provided an update on Jonah Williams and Anthony Pack ahead of their series this weekend against Michigan State. Anthony Pack left the game on Tuesday in the bottom of the 5th in the middle of an at-bat against Lamar. And then Williams is obviously having played a full season of football. This is, of course, Jonah Williams, who is the guy that LSU was heavily recruiting as well, the 2 sports star pick Texas. Anyway, he's got a nagging hamstring injury that sort of lingered from football into baseball. Sounds like Williams could play this weekend.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas forward Carter Knox has undergone meniscus surgery with no timetable for his return. Men's basketball account announced that the surgery was performed in Houston. Knox is averaging 8-4 in 22 appearances in 18 starts this season. He missed Wednesday's matchup against Alabama. And sophomore forward Billy Richmond has been inserted in the starting lineup during the last 4 games.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
And Georgia's pitching rotation shifts now after Kenny Ishiwaka's injury. A 2A star suffered a hairline fracture in his foot after he was hit with a pitch Wednesday in the win over USC Upstate, so he'll be out for a while now. Bulldogs take on Samford at 3 o'clock here, I guess they're underway now. But in any event, change will come Saturday, so Matt Scott is scheduled to make his first career start at Georgia. All right, there you have it. That is around the SEC. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Friday shows are brought to you by Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. Of course, you can always go by, pick out your favorite cigar, take them with you at Don Juan Cigar Company next door, or have a cocktail, craft beer, glass of wine, watch some sports, enjoy a premium cigar. Great way to unwind and head off into the weekend. It's at Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. Okay, it is after further review. We will knock out our final break of hour number 1. We'll come back, wrap up the hour. Terrio's here in about 15 minutes from right now. Ryan's Letter Kick Rocks. Talk about the LSU Indiana baseball game, which Indiana is now taking the lead in the bottom of the 7th. So Tigers got a little work to do here. 6 outs to go. See if they can rally and move to 6-0. We'll talk about it as we continue here. Stay with us. It's AFR.
After further review.
Hey, I would love it if you've heard me over the past days, weeks, months, years talk about hormone replacement therapy. If you would take this as your push to call over to Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness and schedule an appointment to go for your blood draw. It's not going to take long. It's not painful or anything like that. But they're going to run your labs and they're going to look at all of your levels and see where you're deficient and how they can safely and affordably supplement you to get you to healthy levels. Now, the other thing I'll tell you is if you're already on HRT, like I know thousands upon thousands of you are, like I am, I would highly recommend you consider switching from whatever your current clinic is to Goodwood for a variety of reasons. First of all, if you're on testosterone, it's a commodity, right? I mean, you get the same product anywhere. But Goodwood will sell you the lowest prices with never any contracts, no membership fees. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Wrapping up hour number 1. Derek Curry held the leadoff single there in the top of the 8th. So 1 on, Nobody out. Jake Brown at the plate. Tigers trailing 5-4 after Indiana regained the lead in the bottom of the seventh. So we'll keep you posted as they move along in Jacksonville. I know a lot of people might be listening to the game on the radio. If you don't have the streaming service, you can pay $30 for that streaming service if you want to watch the Tigers this weekend. But Brown just nearly missed a base hit down the right field line, just foul. So we'll keep you posted how this goes. This is pretty challenging thing to do, man. I was yesterday evening, I was looking on Twitter and I saw a sort of an in memoriam post about Wes Rucker. And quite honestly, I thought it was a hoax. I mean, there was a in memoriam post about me about a month ago or so. I mean, AI is crazy and you never really know what's real, what's not. So I just sort of, it wasn't a credible account. And then last night around midnight, I started to see other more credible media people posting tributes to Wes and looked it up. And sure enough, if you're not familiar, so Wes Rucker has been a longtime Tennessee media member. He's done radio and written for numerous sites. And quite honestly, whenever I started doing AFR 16 years ago, Wes was probably the first Tennessee media member who became a contributor on the show. I cannot say that I know Wes well, only in the context that he has come on the show a bunch to talk about Tennessee over the years, and I've reciprocated. But very talented, obviously very good at what he does, and very respected voice there at Tennessee. And Wes died on Thursday late afternoon in a car accident in Knoxville. The police report details were posted online, and it was a multi-car accident, and he was the lone fatality. And this is even more, not like it's in a literal sense, by definition, a tragedy involves the death. So this is a tragedy. It is compounded by the fact that Wes is a young guy who is married with a 4-year-old son, and his wife is pregnant with their second child, a daughter who's on the way. Whew, man, so you start to see anybody who's a parent, even if you're not, I think you can relate in some respect, but my brain starts to go to his baby, like his 4-year-old son will never see daddy again. His daughter will be born without a father. I mean, it's crushing. It is so crushing and awful and unfair in every way imaginable. Certainly, I would encourage everybody to pray for Wes Rucker's family. If you don't pray, maybe consider doing it. If you don't want to consider praying, just maybe offer up positive thoughts. I believe they all go to the same place. The Lord knows when you're speaking to him. If you want to do more, and prayer is an amazing, powerful tool. So I'm not going to, I would never, ever disregard the power of prayer. Lord knows I've said plenty in my own life, and many people prayed for me and my family. Wes currently was between jobs, and it's very common in our industry. I say it often, it's a transient industry, media is. It's just rare, like me doing this show for 16 years, working for the same company, that's just atypical. It's just not common. That doesn't really happen. And all that to say, Wes was between jobs, and so he didn't have, because he was between jobs, he didn't have life insurance at the time of his death. And he's got a wife and a 4-year-old and a daughter on the way. And so they set up a GoFundMe. His sister set up a GoFundMe for the family. His sister is Molly Rucker. set up a GoFundMe for Wes's wife, Lauren, their son, Hank, their baby girl who's on the way. The donation target just keeps raising because people keep giving. They're up to $362,470, which is amazing. People from all over the industry have donated. Scott Van Pelt, Shannon Terry from On3, Josh Pate. I donated earlier. I would encourage you, if you can, if you have some cash that you set aside to give to good causes or whatever, if you could, it would be, I'm not sure I could think of a better cause right now. Certainly praying for everyone who knows and loves Wes Rucker, and may he rest in peace. Okay, Sports Center. Hour 2's next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, South Point, awesome, man. Great people that sell great vehicles. You're talking about 9 different IIHS top safety picks, highest safety designation that you can get anywhere. So you have the peace of mind every time that you get behind the wheel of a Volkswagen, knowing you're in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen every day. When I get in my car and I put Drew in his car seat, I get in the car knowing with the peace of mind that I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica is, Drew, that we're doing our part in that respect. Oh, by the way, they're stylish and really fun to drive too. And they're affordable. And South Point Volkswagen is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealers. Get by and see them. Airline just north of Highland or SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?